On that first deal, it wasn't until maybe later on down the road after I got my first renovation done that I was able to actually start putting numbers together. I was at the very beginning, it was sloppy. I would just lock up a property as low as I could get it locked up and then throw it out there. And it was just like fishing, throwing the hook on the worm and throwing it out to the water and see what happens.
Jerry Norton, he's somebody that's been in the space for a long time, and he kind of blew my mind on the DealMachine Elite Masterclass last week. He said he takes the Zestimate, and then Realtor.com has 3 pieces of information. The Realtor.com will show you a CoreLogic estimate and 2 other estimates that are a different data company. So he takes all those 4 values for the property, he averages the 4 of them together, and then he offers 60% of that. He said he does not even calculate renovation costs anymore.
The DealMachine REI podcast. Everything you need to know to get started in real estate investing.
We've talked about like 6 topics so far. So let me get, we started how to get started. We talked about lead generation, direct mail, answering calls, how to get an appointment, what to do on an appointment, and then how to analyze a deal. But now we're going to break down estimating renovation costs. And I think it'd be an awesome one to start with. Like, how'd you do that on this one where you got $8,500 assignment fee?
That one, man, let me tell you, I don't even think on that first deal that we did estimate any kind of rehab cost. I think that it was such a, I was new. I didn't know what I was even looking for, but we'd got the property down really cheap. And we just listed that property. I think we listed it on Facebook Marketplace or something. And the investor, luckily, that came and bought it, kind of put a number to, what he thought the rehab was going to be, and then bounced that off of what the asking price was, and the numbers made sense. But on that first deal, it wasn't until maybe later on down the road after I got my first renovation done that I was able to actually start putting numbers together. I was at the very beginning, it was sloppy. I would just lock up a property as low as I could get it locked up and then throw it out there. And it was just like fishing, throwing the hook on the worm and throwing it out to the water and see what happens.
Okay. So in other words, you gave an offer that you felt was so low that for sure it'd cover the rehab costs. That was your strategy.
That was the strategy. Yeah. I mean, we were still kind of looking at what properties were worth. And then in my mind, I'm like, as long as it's significantly cheaper than what it's worth, then there should be room for a deal out of it.
Got it. And we'll talk about what a property is worth in a little bit. We don't need to do that when we're estimating rehab costs. But I did have to mention Jerry Norton. He's somebody that's been in the space for a long time, and he kind of blew my mind on the DealMachine Elite Masterclass last week. He said he takes the Zestimate, and then Realtor.com has 3 pieces of information. The Realtor.com will show you a CoreLogic estimate and 2 other estimates that are a different data company. So he takes all those 4 values for the property, he averages the 4 of them together, and then he offers 60% of that. He said he does not even calculate renovation costs anymore. And I thought that was amazing because it is so simple. And so I have not done this before, but I just thought I would throw it out there because I was really blown away by it. He says it works as long as the house is clean. And now I don't have an official definition of what clean means other than it's got to be standing up. It can't be like totally in flames. It can't be burnt up. What are your thoughts on that?
I heard about that as well. And actually, Jerry is what got me on a different path of estimating rehab costs, because he put a quick bid calculation together several years ago. And I'd kind of ran with that and modified it to match what I was doing. And it was working then. So I have no doubt that what he's doing is probably working. But I have not tried it yet. I'm interested to try it though.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say after doing two homes that were exactly the same footprint, and they were like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I will say when I did the second one, it was a whole lot easier to estimate. I had confidence because I literally just did the same house and redid everything. New doors, new floors, new paint, new kitchen, new bathrooms. And so I ended up with this spreadsheet. I'm looking at it right now. It was a $70,000 renovation, and it's just got line items, 118 line items of what we bought, what the labor cost, and how much we thought we were going to pay versus how much we actually paid. And so I always just look back at the spreadsheet. It's like once you do your first deal, it's way, way easier.
You got to break the ice of estimating rehab costs, and it can happen quick. Like doing your own first deal, that's one really good way to learn quickly what things cost in the world of estimating. So for me, that's how we did it. Like we had to take on our own deal. That it presented so many challenges, but one of the fruits of that was that then I knew by square footage what everything was going to cost, similar to what you had said with your experience.
Yeah. So if you don't want to do the quick and dirty, the formula that you should be using is, to calculate your offer price, it would be what the house is worth in perfect condition minus 25 to 30%, minus the repair cost, minus if you're wholesaling it, your wholesaling fee, and that is your offer price, right? Is that kind of how you calculate your offer price?
We take ARV minus 7 or times multiply that to 70% minus repairs minus assignment fee, and that puts us where we want to be in terms of an offer.
And for those that don't know, ARV stands for after repair value.
Yep.
That is the same thing. I said minus 25%. You said times 70. So you're actually subtracting 30%.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm. So have you ever estimated your rehab costs incorrectly?
Yes. And we've done that on some pretty big deals. Actually, recently we had a deal that we really had never come across before in a multifamily. Every unit needed to be fixed. All of the mechanicals needed to be switched out. And to me, I'm like, this is so big. I have no clue where to start. And so just running, our quick calculator to it, and it did not get us close enough to where we needed to be. The good thing is there was enough equity, and with multifamily, it was bringing in enough cash flow that it could justify you missed a little bit and it's going to be okay. So
got it. That's one thing I realized too, is that no matter how experienced somebody is, you're somebody who's done 400 deals almost. You should be, if somebody's going to be dialing it in, it's got to be you.
Right.
And the one thing I've realized is you just can't ever get it perfect,
right?
Because you don't know until you really tear into projects. And then you realize like, oh shoot, we didn't know that this was going to be an issue without, opening up the wall or something, for example. So you're always giving it the closest estimate that you can, knowing that it's just not going to be perfect until you actually do the project. That is why you leave yourself 30% profit margin.
Yep.
Because and me personally, I've never come under budget. It's always cutting a little bit into that profit margin, but it is okay. And it takes the stress away from doing the estimate in the first place. That is why you leave that profit margin. So hopefully that can give somebody confidence knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.